you talked about, writing that one pager, setting up the vision, and then it turns into 6 pages. And so I'm always very curious to find out how these successful companies like yours and Microsoft and Google and Amazon, how they make sure the vision flows from top to bottom. Because I've worked in many different companies, and I'm seeing this is a issue that the founder or the CEO, they have a vision, but that vision does not translate to everybody down at, on the bottom rung as such. And then there's a mismatch.
Yep.
So how are you doing anything special, or what you do to make sure that everybody in your big team gets the vision, like where are we heading, and what we're going to do for that?
And so you can use, Amazon does that, and we do that in UiPath also. You can start things from ground up, right? So for example, right now I have X number of product lines. Every one of them would have a 6-pager on those product lines. Then I would combine all those 6-pagers into the 6-pager for the AI team, and we would say, these are the big rocks that we are going to get.
Right.
There's this analogy of getting big rocks into a container filled with sand, and it's like, okay, you take a couple of things off and put the big rocks in, and it's essentially that way, the way we work. Like for example, I'm going to have a meeting shortly on the next cycle. And what we are proposing there is that we would strengthen the core of the products that we've already built, but we'll also take 5 to 10% of the resources to do the more advanced stuff. And so that's a 6-pager for the AI team, but it's built on top of all the 6-pagers that are coming in from the individual teams with the product lines within the AI team. Now, AI team is just one part of the whole product portfolio. So my boss goes in and builds a 6-pager for all of the products across the company. And then the vision goes up, right? And so we've seen this bubbling up. It's the same thing that happens in Amazon also. So we've seen, if you take the ground up approach, it works pretty well, because the people on top can always, do a break check and say, these things, we don't think they may be that useful, right?
Right.
But you're totally right that, if things are flowing from the top, there is a risk of that mistranslation happening as things flow down into the organizations.
Okay. Yeah, it's always, I wonder how and what they do, because it's not about just writing all these documents, but it is a component of culture also, right? So you are setting up that culture and making sure that everybody aligned to the vision. And otherwise, things doesn't happen. If people don't buy in, then no matter what you say.
You're absolutely right. So for example, in my case right now, as I was saying, most of my products are hitting scale right now. So 90% of the job that we have is in making sure that product works. 80 to 90% of the job is that way. So for example, there's a lot of tech debt that we have to pay, because in V1, typically the speed to market is super important. So we get a product out there, but it may have, we've cut some corners, and also we go in and, pay off that tech debt. So you may not see, as many features as we've released in the V1, but the product becomes more robust, it becomes more scalable. And so that's what we would do for the next cycle. But, we will reserve some 5 to 10% capacity to do something really interesting. But if you looked at our plans like from a year ago, everything was new, right? Almost 80 to 90% of the team was focused on the new features that are going to be built. But now, that speed is going to slow down. And once we bubble this up to the management, they can tell us, the big bets that we are trying to make, if they make sense or not, if they're going to fund them or not, right? So it's like mini Shark Tank happening in the company. And in Amazon also, it's a similar way. You pitch what your vision is to your manager, and essentially, that manager is going to decide if he or she is going to give you resources to execute or not.
Right. So this is really important to learn and know that it is bottoms up approach. It is not that you are the head of AI, so every wisdom is just flowing from you from top to bottom. It's a big team sport.
And it's if you look at all the really efficiently run companies, like Steve Jobs used to say this, if I've hired a smart person,
Right.
I'm not going to tell you what to do. I've hired a smart person so that they can tell us what to do.
True.
And so I definitely believe in that philosophy. So most of the people that we have, they are like really, really smart people. They have the experience. They've been operating in their space for a while. So
Right.
there's a lot of organizational memory that is built there. I can only give them high-level directions on where we should be going, looking at the mega trends and stuff.
Right.
But other than that, I should not be giving too much input. If I am, that means something is wrong.
Right. Right.
Yep.
Okay.